Hello, everyone. Nicci Berry here, and I want to thank you for joining us here on Legendary Health. I really appreciate you taking the time to learn today about these 3 brain hacks to help you make healthier choices. And I'm super excited about who I have on today. Her name is Vicky Santiago, and she is from New Zealand. She is a hypnotherapist, and I got the opportunity to see her in New Zealand last time we were there. And she really helped me push through some limiting beliefs and just some things that were holding me back around my business and around working out and things like that. And it has totally changed my life around making these things easier for me to do. So the choice, I don't have to drag myself to do these things anymore. It just happens naturally, and I'm so thankful to her for helping me make these changes in such an easy, effective way, really and truly. So there we go. There she is. Hopefully, okay. So Vicky is joining us from the beautiful New Zealand in a city called Warkworth, where the girls and I have spent a lot of time, and we love that community. Hi, Vicky.
Hi, I made it. Sorry, here I am at last.
No worries. Technology can be our friend sometimes and not so much our friends other times.
Yeah.
So I was just sharing with everyone about how you helped me break through some personal barriers and how I've been very successful with doing the things that I do in a way that is it's joyful instead of dragging myself to do things. So I was just sharing about that. And I just want to get right into these 3 hacks to help people make healthier choices. So I know that everyone's heard about hypnosis, or they've seen someone hypnotized, and so they have a story in their mind. And so I was wondering if there are any myths that you'd like to bust around that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's start by saying that hypnotherapy makes it really, really easy for script writers to make anything happen that they want to in a movie, and people would just believe it rather than saying, oh, that couldn't happen, that's just silly. So maybe it's Mowgli, staying still for the snake to eat him, or maybe it's somebody turning into Captain Underpants. It is just a story writing gimmick, and it's nothing to do with what hypnotherapy is in real life. So maybe you've seen a stage show and you've seen everybody just click at the fingers and they're comatose and they have no idea what they're doing and clucking like a chicken and all these silly things. Like, again, that is nothing to do with what we do. So hypnotherapy is basically a form of therapy. It's about learning how to use your mind and to open up what your limiting beliefs are and change that background programming that's been going on ever since you were a kid. And so there's no, tra-la-la, Captain Underpants, there's no clucking like a chicken. It really just feels for most people like they're in that state of deep relaxation, maybe like what you get to when you're meditating, when that little chatterbox judgy person in your brain has just switched off and gone away somewhere else for a while, and you can just take some time and get in touch with the real you and understand why you're doing the things you're doing, and also to start programming in and resetting, getting those new changes that you want to do to happen instead. So we go in and out of hypnosis about 120 times a day naturally. So it's not a state that is out of our experience, really. It's not anything scary or unusual. You know, when you're driving along and you're going to the grocery store and you're thinking about what you need to buy and you get there without realizing that you were paying attention on the trip. I mean, that's you being in self-hypnosis and actually your subconscious mind driving the car. You know, it's something we go into when we're daydreaming, when our husband is nagging us, when we're staring out the window on a car trip. You know, it's just a natural state. We're just doing it on purpose and for our own benefit.
Awesome. That's so interesting to me that it's not this big woo-woo sort of thing, that it's just something that naturally happens. So that, thank you for busting those myths for everyone. So how do you think that hypnotherapy can help people in making better lifestyle changes?
Well, first of all, it's just getting into that place of self-awareness, and people are at different levels of that. It depends on, you know, what kind of daily habits they do, whether it's journaling or meditating. But it can be really good to, as I say, just quieten that chatterbox mind and just get deep into your self-awareness. It's all about identifying the programs that you picked up when you were a kid. We usually form our programming by the age of about 7, based on our life experiences and what we hear around us. So with hypnotherapy, by being in that relaxed, aware state, it's simply giving us the chance to open up what those beliefs were, what that programming is, and to change it, put in the new programs that are going to serve you. So we can do that in a hypnosis session. And also it's really just understanding how your mind works so that you can hack that on purpose, so that you can create the change that you want in a much easier way than just efforting through it all the time.
Awesome. Well, so what are tips that you have to help us and our listeners have your brain work for you instead of against you?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's 3 main rules of the mind, which are quite helpful to understand. The first is that your mind does what it thinks we want it to do. It's always there listening and trying to be helpful. But I love what Brooke Castillo says about the mind being like a toddler with a knife. So it's running around and trying to be helpful, but unless it's being supervised, there's a chance someone's going to get hurt. So the way that our brain finds out what we want it to do is, again, just by listening to what we say, to how we act, and especially to that little voice, what we say to ourselves going on in our head. And unfortunately, a lot of us aren't perhaps as mindful as we could be about what we want. And so our mind just kind of does the guesswork and does its absolute best to give us what we want. But actually, you'll often find that's not actually what you want. It's more just been what you've been focusing on. It's like that wonderful saying that worrying is like praying for what you don't want. So if you're focusing on what you don't want all the time, guess what? Your mind is listening. It's thinking that actually you're putting all your attention on this. That must be what you want. And it's the same way when you buy a new car and you've been, you know, doing all your research and your test drives, and then you're really excited about your new car, and suddenly you find that model of car everywhere. It's because by focusing on that car and having that emotional experience about it, your mind's gone, she's really interested in this type of car. Now I'm going to show her what she wants. So it's the same thing. It's just about being mindful about what you actually want and being really clear on what that is, so that your mind knows without doubt what you want and what you don't want. And that kind of brings me to my next point, which is how we tell our minds what we want is that our mind responds to the pictures and the words that we hold in our head. So there's kind of a bit of a hierarchy going on. First of all, our mind responds stronger to pictures than it does to words. So you may have visualization as a part of your practice, and you may have heard of athletes visualizing before they fight in a match or do a race. And again, it's the mind responding to that picture. So if you are going to choose, words are great, but really choose pictures if you can. So visualize every day what it is that you want. And the next thing with that too is that your mind is not logical, it's emotional. And so your mind will respond a lot stronger to an emotional experience, especially a positive emotional experience. So again, when I talked about buying the new car, you've got that emotional experience when you bring it home because you're so excited about it. So It's bringing in and being aware that you're holding a picture in your head, but make it one that you're actually really excited about. And then my final tip really is that your mind likes what's familiar and it doesn't like what's unfamiliar. So we can hack that again on purpose. So, you know, people often feel a little bit anxious or nervous when they're going in to do something new. And that is just our brain kicking in to try and protect us from new situations, which back in caveman days, they could have been a little bit dangerous. So by understanding that, we can instead make what we want to do familiar and make what we don't want to do unfamiliar. And we can do that on purpose. Like if you're taking Juice Plus and you want to, you know, take it every day, well, you've got to make it familiar so that it becomes like an unconscious thing. It's just part of what you do every day. And you can make it familiar by having it there and visual out in front of you. So if you take it with your breakfast in the morning, put your bottles right there next to your breakfast things. And that way it's always there, it's always familiar. And the more you do it, again, the more familiar it is, the more automatic it becomes. And the same thing with things that you don't want to do, like you don't want to eat chocolate biscuits. Well, just don't buy them. You're not seeing them, out of sight, out of mind, it's unfamiliar. So I hope that gives some ideas so we can visualize what we want. So we might want to visualize ourselves making that healthy change. Maybe it's thinking about going to the gym in the morning or eating a healthier meal, but also when we do that visualization, really focus on getting some positive emotion going with that as well. So you're feeling really excited, whatever it is you need to do to feel excited about that change that you want to make. Maybe it's thinking about how delicious it's going to be to eat those vegetables, or maybe it's how great you'll feel afterwards, or maybe it'll be whatever after effect that you want, like clear skin or the extra energy that you'll have. Focus on whatever it is that you need that actually gets you truly excited. Remember those pictures, remember the emotion, and whatever you can do to make it familiar.
Awesome. Those are great tips. I hear those in different ways from different motivational speakers, self-help speakers as well. That the way that you explain very easy to. So thank you for that. We're going to have Vicky on sharing more about different types and stuff. So if anyone is interested in how you think that hypnotherapy could help you, if you have questions or specific things that you're dealing with, you think hypnotherapy might help you with, then just leave them in the comments and we can have another discussion about that. Also, we'll put all of the information in the comments as well, and she is happy to answer any questions that you may have also. So thank you so much for taking time, everyone, and especially you, Vicky. I really appreciate you to us. And go to the beach for me today because I cannot.
I will. I've already been once, but I'm happy to go back again today.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks, everyone. Have an awesome weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.